There is this particular stage that one can find themselves in. And if you have a profession where you are helping people, and in the meantime, it could be a number of years, or you could be working on yourself for 10, 20 years, or even for the last day. But if you find yourself all of a sudden that when your patients or your clients or your customers come, and you find that your neuroses, your fear, your doubt, your confusion disappears. And when your customer, patient, client goes away, your neuroses, your fear, your doubt, your confusion comes back. Okay? You are in a particular stage. That's all what it is. And nothing to fear. It's okay. You're okay. It tells you that you're in this particular stage. That do not try to keep your client, your patient, your customer with you at all times. Because it will make you feel good. You will be, let them go. Let them go. Okay? And I know it's a hard thing to let them go because your neuroses, your doubt, your fear, your confusion is going to come back, and it's not nice. It's a very, very, very good sign. It's a beautiful sign. There is nothing wrong with you, but there's nothing you can do about it. You have to let the stage burn out on its own. That means that you still have a job to do with yourself inside. Because you could say that basically the whole process of all creatures, of all human beings, is just between you and yourself. We have a lot of external things that can compound, that can initiate, that can promote, that can help your process. But it has to come basically from within you, inside. So when that customer, that patient leaves, and all of a sudden, my suggestion is because it's nothing more than a particular vibration that you are not used to. It's a very high vibration, and if your feelings, your subjective feelings, your objective feelings, your thoughts, your body, that I'm talking about the very nature of your cells, is not used to a particular vibration, it will drive you nuts. And it will. It makes you feel like, and all it is just a higher vibration that you're not used to. And there's nothing you can do about it. I used to try and keep my clients with me 24 hours a day, and then I'm free, But it took me a while to figure out what was going on. And so my suggestion is do something that you like to do and try to pay no attention to it. It has a job to do. It's doing its job. You're not doing anything wrong. You're very sane. Everything's okay. Just let the vibration do its job. It's very much like when Let me tell you a story. Maybe that will kind of help you, maybe in a roundabout way. A few years ago, this high school friend of mine, we were best friends since I think I was 10 years old, and he still is my best friend. And a few years ago, he became a little suicidal, so I invited him over to my house, and he was there for about 5 months, 6 months. And I had him go out in my backyard and dig out my backyard to put sprinklers, and then I said, no, that's not right, Eddie. I wanted it this way. So he got real mad at me, and he covered it, and he made another hole, and I had him back there digging, for days and weeks and weeks, and he knew that was good for him. And it was coming time for me to do a fire dance there at home. And I only do one fire dance a month there. And this is my best friend, and he knows me as I was when I was 10 years old to maybe 27 years of age, really good. And I know he's going to see me do this very strange dance, and he's my best friend, But I know because when a person is suicidal, if you really think about it, there's an awful lot of weight on his shoulders, in his head. His body is very heavy. People who become suicidal, there's a great deal of depression inside. And depression on the subtle levels is nothing but weight. What happens is that when a person starts to think heavy, when they start to have negative connotations towards everything that is external or internal, and you start to be critical and judgmental, too harsh, or you start to hate or whatever, it is kind of like you're looking at something and then you say, I hate that. It is almost like taking that, and which is really like, I'm looking at the door and say, I hate the door. Well, the door is in here because we see the door in here, even though we see it out there, but we see it in here. Huh? Okay? And so I hate that, and I am in the illusion thinking that I hate something out there, so I'm okay because there's space between me and the door. But what is happening is that because in reality, we see it inside the head. We see everything that is external is perceived in here. So when I hate the door, I'm really hating something inside my head. So I am fooling myself, thinking that I am free because there's space between me and the door, but actually the door, which is nothing but an illusion of light, is inside, so I'm hating something inside me. So what I have done, it is kind of like attraction. Huh? Attraction is something that is the master in this world. Everything is attraction or repulsion, negative or positive. When you like somebody, really like somebody, you start to... When you don't like somebody, and you wonder how you got there, And when you really, really like somebody, and you say, how did I get here? Oh, I don't know, The attraction did it. It pulls you. It will start to work your mind and your feelings in such ways you don't know how you got there. But, unless there's something else in the background pulling you. And that happens a lot, too. Not just attraction. Or there could be no attraction, but there could be, you could call it fate. There's fate working, too. But when it comes to attraction, such as this, it lightens. When it comes to, let's say, if you're attracted to an argument, if you're attracted to war, if you're attracted to where there is destruction, there's going to be a lot of heavy feelings, heavy connotations to it. And so in essence, that the very nature of the thought, of what you're looking at, of what you're feeling, it attracts like a positive ion. It attracts like another molecule. It attracts like another atom. It attracts like some dust to it. It attracts garbage to it. And pretty soon there's more weight to what you see, more weight to what you think. There's more weight to what you're feeling inside. It gets heavier. inside. It's kind of like looking into the darkness, and if the darkness turns into something that is horrible, a nightmare, there's a lot of weight associated to it. And we play around with words all the time. Lighten up, you know. Why don't you use some lighter words instead of heavy words? Well, when a person is under depression, they're constantly reinforcing weight. So pretty soon, all the cells in the body start to feel heavier. Everything within the mind starts to feel heavier. So when people are depressed, people are a little suicidal, they hardly move. Difficult to move. So I was getting Eddie to move by digging all these these holes and these channels and everything. Well, then here comes to the fire dance, because the fire dance is something that we really move. And this is something that I can help. I know I could help clean up his weight. I can remove a lot of the depression in the fire dance. So I gambled, and I'm embarrassed because he's my best friend. And I thought, well, let's try it and see what happens. So I took him, and while I was doing the dance, I was watching him to see how he is, and everything. And you could see, like, there he is, what the hell is, And as he watched for a while, he started to get into it. I was impressed. And then he started to do a little dancing, and says, okay. So I let him cook. And what I mean by that is I let him dance a little longer, a little longer, a little longer. So it starts to stir the pot, to get all that weight and all that goodness in him moving. Because the more it moves inside, the more I can do. And, we clean up immediately after the fire dance, and we drive home. We get home. This guy is pacing back and forth all around the house. He says, man, let's go get some beer and go find some women. He says, man, I haven't felt like this since I was 17. Yeah. How did you do this? How did you do this? Just wait. All it is wait. No big psychological this, or let's work on your mother here, or it's your past life, or this is something you did, and this is your guilt hanging out. No, it's just a matter of weight. Lightness and weight, and understanding the mechanics of it. Yeah. Took the superstition out of the situation, basically. Because people basically in this planet, we're just dealing basically with gravity and the higher atmospheres. We are the one in between. We are the one that walks in between. We got to simplify all this and eliminate all the superstitions from all these things that people are doing to our heads. Where was I? What was I talking about with Eddie Money? What was I getting at? I don't know. Stage. Oh, right. The stage. So here is the stage. So, like Eddie, like Eddie Money. Here was a stage, and I just happened to alter. You could say, alter the removed a few atoms, removed a few positive ions, just change the weight inside the head and alter it. But all I did was actually just change the vibration inside him. Changed it so much, gave him a shower, you could say, without water. Cleaned him up as much as possible. But all I did was just put him into a natural vibratory rate when he felt like when he was 17. I mean, that guy was out. He was out all night long drinking. He went to town. I let him get in my motorcycle. Man, he was going racing up and down that street, and it was wonderful. But all I did was just literally change the vibratory rate inside him, which is a very natural rate of all people. We're all really very, very young inside. It is only the body that ages. But if we fall illusion to it, we don't understand it. The body builds up weight, the mind builds up weight with heaviness and guilt and this and all that. We identify with, and pretty soon we can hardly move. Then we start to look for the elixir of life or the secret of life. And all it is hang on to the adventure. Understand what tomorrows are for. Tomorrows are to not to know. That's why tomorrows are for, not to know. So it's good to wake up and not know. That's the adventure. Keep your thoughts light. Keep your feelings light as much as possible. You start to feel a little weight, change it. Change it inside. Too many people are brainwashed. The mass majority of the people are easily brainwashed. And be careful. Just because millions of people believe a certain way, don't you. To really wake up into this world, you're going to have to basically stand alone. Go against all the belief structures. You don't have to hate, but to understand is better. And what you don't understand, know it well. You don't have to understand everything, and it's okay. You don't have to have all the answers. It's really okay. And that's why at night when you look up and you see the stars, and there's nothing but so many vast and beautiful worlds that we do not understand or know or we can't even touch. It's okay that we don't know. But know what you know and know it well. And know what you don't know and know it very well. And this is what will get your head straight. Too many people play hide and seek with their heads, with their minds, and they get lost in the game. Life is not a game. We create the game. When you find that you made a wrong move, it's okay. Just look at it and know it. Life is waiting for you. Waits to see what you're going to do when you get up in the morning and what you're going to say and act. It doesn't know. There is some idea of forecast. There's some idea of understanding the weather, to some idea, but it changes. We have some idea of why we do the way we do, but then we don't. It's okay. And more than anything else, laugh at your mistakes and laugh at your silliness. And that really lightens up guilt, harm inside, and the lead that people constantly stick into their brains, stick into their bodies. And when you see somebody that's happy, thank them. See how wonderful it is. But you have to see the bad and the good in this world. That's what the eyes are for. And always appreciate those that are happier than you, more intelligent than you. Always appreciate those that have a much better life than you, because they show you that better can happen. There's always room to be better. And always look at those that are lesser than you, and always look at those that are not so good, that are not so fortunate. And know that it takes a long time to change for anybody, and it's okay. There are no guarantees in life. No one has a contract. There's a big blank of paper, but you signed your name to the bottom of that paper, and you fill it in, every moment, every day of your life. No one else does it but you. There's no one greater than you and no one lesser than you. All human beings are just nothing but brothers and sisters to each other. And one day your daughter could be your best friend. One day your daughter could be your mother, and vice versa. Just a matter of time. For the act of what it is to be alone for a human being is a very profound understanding. In each stage, we change our vibratory rate, and the more you open up inside, the greater vibrations will increase inside to the point that your mind cannot take any more. And then all of a sudden, you shift your persona. All of a sudden, you shift who you really are inside. It shifts into your heart, and you see through the eyes of your heart. And the mind becomes nothing but a tool chest, a toolbox. A most beautiful toolbox to be used. You're not your thoughts. Be careful with that. They're just thoughts. And be careful with your feelings, for your feelings can confuse you and mislead you too. Be careful with your intuition. Intuition will only lead you to a gambling hall where sometimes you're correct and sometimes you're not. Do not gamble with your life. But learn to use the feelings of your gut. The feelings of your gut inside. It's not intuition. For it's more in line of your conscience. And this is what human beings have basically lost on this planet, is the voice of their conscience. For God has become their voice of reason and logic. Do not be fooled by that. Reason and logic has its place. But you're not a thing and you're not a number. When I see an old lady, I see a young girl. When I see an old man, I see a young boy. And when I see a young boy, I see an older man. When I see a young girl, I see an older lady. All spirited human beings are truly around the age of 33. For we do not age, it cannot age. But in this life of ours, we do age. An illusion, you can say. And yet, you're very much of the same mind and the same personality as when you were 2, as you are now sitting in this chair, really not much of any different. Just a few more experiences and a few more scars and a few more pieces of knowledge. But you're still you. You are who you are. And it took so very long for you to be you. Do not expect to be changed in a day, in a week, or in a year or two. Learn to think like your bones think, and then you will know the recipe of life. It took 7 long years times 365 days for you to be you. You got to give yourself plenty of time to be the age of 7. Then the hard part, that to be the age of 7, are you 7 going on 3, or are you 7 going on 21? For the mind to catch up with the body, it's not so easy in any life. Too many kids are forced to grow up far too early. And pretty soon we're all confused with our own age. 17-year-olds trying to dress like they're 27-year-olds. 47-year-olds trying to dress like they're 23. We're so confused. Take a deep breath. Hold it. Let go. For to find the recipes of life, it's a real wonder that our hearts continue to beat, to pump the blood. So we have another hour, another minute, another weekend. Take a deep breath, hold it. And when we put ourselves on hold, we're waiting in line, We're waiting for the phone call. We're waiting for that one special event to happen. There's nothing we can do until it happens. Let go. And sometimes we don't even think about our inhale or our exhale and how precious it really is. For actually, when we inhale, we invite the life forces that give us our life. You could say the breath of the Creator that breathes its breath into our lungs, that feeds us every day, all day, and even at night. Take a deep breath, hold it. And most of the time, we don't even think about what it is to exhale. We give back, you could say, what is not so good anymore, to give back the garbage, the carbon dioxide, so it can be processed externally. Let go. You could almost call it a fair exchange. An exchange of gases, an exchange of the self. And sometimes when we exhale maybe sometimes too much bacteria or a virus, or somebody else can get the virus or an illness. And somehow I wonder how precious our breath really, really is. For to have the breath of life to finally kick in, and not to feel the food or to get the food from the umbilical cord of our mother, no longer be fed by fluids, but by air. Take a deep breath. And one day we will no longer need this oxygen. One day we'll be breathing another form of air. And what a beautiful form that will be. A light, a most beautiful light. Let go. And you can say we will not need our lungs, we will not need our heart, but we will always have our lungs and our heart with us, always. A light that is more like a rainbow of all the colors, of all the pictures, of all the faces that we have seen. A rainbow of light and colors of all the days that we have lived. Take a deep breath. Let go. And it is through your will and your active will that you inhale and exhale actually. We could say we leave it to the primal minds, to the primal forces, so we don't have to think about it. So we can hammer nails, so we can go for walks, so we can put on clothes, so we can talk and laugh, so we can drink and eat. And yet the primal forces are constantly inhaling and exhaling for us, until all of a sudden we become, you could say, more sane, and begin to realize it is my mouth, it is my will, it is my body. Take a deep breath. I will take the breath. Primal mind, dinosaur, ancient, whatever you want to call it. I will let go, let go. And to take the act and to take the breath yourself, you're giving relief to your primal brain. Take a deep breath. It is I that takes a breath. It is I that made the decision. It is I that walks. It is I that talks to you. It is my life. Let go. And for one day, we will no longer need the primal brain either. And when that is so, you will understand what your will is. Then it is you that will act With every breath, inhale and exhale, with every touch, with everything you see and do. For the true act of will is finally in full view and understood. Take a deep breath. Be kinder to your breath. Be kinder to your exhale and inhale, and yet learn to have fun and be light with it. Let go. For now, you are overriding the primal brains. You can say, using a much better part of you. And it's okay for you to decide, take a deep breath. And I take a deep breath for myself, I take it for my family, I take it for my friends. And I take it for all the days that I have lived. Let go. My head is a little lighter with all the oxygen. The vibration's a little bit faster, I'm just not used to it. For what it is to have joy in your heart all day. Take a deep breath. It is I that decided, overriding my primal brain, to hold my breath, to look ahead and to be still. It is the stillness. It is the force inside. It is the compression inside that you're feeling inside. It is the pressure inside that you're feeling. Let go. For without pressure, we will not know where we are at. We need pressure. We have pressure in the atmosphere. We have pressure due to the gravity holding us down. We receive pressure from parents and from our bosses. We receive pressure from the police and the politicians. We even pressure ourselves to do this and to do that. And then we relinquish ourselves at night when we go to sleep. Release all the pressure to the bed. Take a deep breath. And who are you surrendering to? To what? To relieve, to let go of the pressure, let go. To what? Is it just to a bed, or is it just to an idea? Is it just to a thought? And like attraction, when I start to have an attraction towards one thing, and to feel the attraction towards whatever created my bones, my thoughts will follow. And when I take a deep breath, my mind will follow for sure. And when I take that inhale with my will, my mind will follow surely to deep inside me, to where my bones are. And as the pressure increases, it increases even more to be touching my bones all the way down to my toes. I am touching something very ancient inside. Let go. A very simple act of will. Take a deep breath. And as I inhale and as the pressure increases, I begin to have a much better sense of myself. I can only take so much. We all have a tolerance before we have to let go. We are all very fragile human beings. Sometimes we're strong and sometimes we're weak, and sometimes there's too much pressure. Learn to dance with the pressures of life. Do not fear them. And one day you will be a surfer like the surfers of the sea. And one day you can be a good surfer and ride all the waves, no matter what the pressure. Life is inherently goodness. And seek it out. And one day you will find goodness everywhere. It is the people and their mentalities that are confused. Just give it time, though. Take a deep breath. And now we go into the twilight, and even as the sun starts to go down, and you start to feel that pressure when it's starting to mean its breaking point, it's a twilight. And you hold your quiet attention there, and that's the twilight inside. Another ingredient of the recipe of your life. Let go. Do I need a song to dance? No. I thought I did. Do I need a wooden floor to dance? No. I thought I did. Do I need to hear a song to sing? No. I thought I did. It is just the mere presence that we are that song, that we are that dance. Just get to know your dance and your song. It lives in the encryptedness of your bones. Just have the courage and to give it the time for it to seep out. And one day it will be at the tip of your tongue or the edge of your eye, so you will see it everywhere. And with an act of your free will, take a deep breath. Let go. Listen to these very simple words, and they will eventually unlock your complex mind and heart. Listen to these very, very simple words, and you'll find yourself becoming kinder and kinder in time, and your mind becoming more agile, more healthy in time. What is life? Life just simply is. It was already born with no beginning and there's no end. It already is. It's just that the dreamer of dreamers begins to dream, and pretty soon there's so many dreams, people are lost. And it's a good thing that the mountains stay there long enough as not to play hide and seek with you like we do with our minds. So be grateful that houses stand still for hundreds of years. Be grateful that mountains stand still for tens and thousands of years before we have to go deep into our dreams. Then what is there to trust? Learn to trust the nature first. Be at ease with it, and your mind will get stronger. It's difficult to trust any other human being on this planet. We know that. But then pay and put your attention to the nature so your mind settles down with trust. You were born as you are. It's okay. It's good. For no one can walk like you, no one can think like you, and no one can dream like you. You're unique. It's good. Take a deep breath. to surrender to the bed, to surrender to our pillow, to surrender to the night. You do it with an act of will, no longer surrendering to tiredness. It's your life. Let go. Most of your problems have nothing really to do with you. And most of your heartaches, most of the time, has nothing really to do with you. Just know you're a much more than just a social human being living under a flag. You're a creature that has the blood of uncaused light. For the blood of all sentient beings is uncaused light. There's no cause whatsoever. Do not confuse this light emanating from the sun. There's nothing but cause and effect. You have been taught to think of nothing but cause and effect. And so therefore all the heavens above are going to be of cause and effect. This is what keeps people lost. For to have a living light of blood with no cause whatsoever, where are you going to fight? Who are you going to argue with? Who are you going to be confused with? That's why relax. All the philosophies inside. Take a deep breath. Let go. Now, with an act of your will, take a deep breath. And as the pressure increases inside, with your will, go down into your heart. And the pressure will guide you. Go into your heart. Let go. With your active will, take a deep breath. And as the pressure increases, go into your heart. Keep your eyes on me, keep your eyes open, but go into your heart. And with an act of will, let go. Nature, I finally understand who you are. I see your face. I understand your rivers and understand your rainfall. I understand the pressures that you apply to me at night and during the day. I understand the pressure that you apply to my mind and to my heart. But now I can sing and dance around you. And now I can play. And I can get up. And I can sit down. I can run. And I can climb high. And I can even dive if I wish. I understand you, nature. The pressures has always been our friend, to help to guide us and to teach us, but how we have learned to fear and run away from pressure. And without pressure, how can I feel even my own skin? Without pressure, how can I even dive into my inner mind and feel what I do not wish to feel? Nature, I understand you. Take a deep breath with your will. Let the pressure increase very quietly. Go into your heart. And with your active will, let go. The pressure increases the vibrations within the nature of your body and your mind. And because the pressure is great, and because it is an act of your will, that is what communicates with your bones inside. For to reach your bones, what a vibration it needs and what it takes. But you do it quietly, you do it softly. Funny how our bones can be so deep inside, and yet we can feel them so. Life is well designed, highly intelligent. And with an active will, take a deep breath. And let yourself feel your heart as you feel the pressures inside build up quietly, softly. The silence becomes more profound. Let go. Holding the breath is like holding twilight, not letting time move to the left or to the right. And in time you become the twilight, whether it is day or night. Yo, negative ne Nikititine aini nite ha. Peace to your minds. Peace to your life. Nite. Peace to your hearts. Nukite natena tene ha ha. Open up your eyes. Thank Reiner, and Martin, and Amanda for during the tour with me. Thanks. Thank you. We've been on tour for 9 weeks. Yeah. And York, he did the whole tour with the camera. we knew throughout the whole 4 days of each workshop, we knew he was there, but it was hard to see him because the camera was always there in front of him. So, and he was always very quiet. And he was more the camera than the camera. And he's got to see a world through the lens of a camera. Close-ups, a lot of close-ups and distance. And to have the will to sit there or stand there all day, every day. And then to use a camera during the fire dance because it's very strenuous. It's not a light camera. It's a lot of weight on it. And the fire dances they last some time. Yeah. And how you were always so respectful throughout. I want to thank you for that. Yeah. And it's always very touching to watch all the equipment to be cared for and to be put away. It's, to me, it's the most touching thing of the tour. It's hard to look at, actually. It's so nice. Tomorrow we thought about coming earlier to do the fire dance instead of coming at 1:30. And any suggestions? 11? 11? Huh? Okay. Okay. 11 o'clock? Huh? Yeah, let's see, 11. And it's supposed to be at 1:30, huh? Yeah. How many are coming, do you know? 1, 2? Huh? You don't know? 10, 15? All right. What about 11:30? Hmm? Yeah. Yeah, 11:30 tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah. And then we can go over some things. You can express your comments. And then these very simple words. To let these words come in. Anyone can say something. Anybody can speak. But it's where the words are coming from is what makes the difference. And you know that these words are coming from a space and from a time that's not quite normal. And then that is let it come in to you. And the words, as they come in, they start to look for that space and time inside you. Just that we really forgot where we really come from. We have been fooled with logic and reason, and yet logic and reason is so important and so beautiful. But you're not your mind. You're not. There's no hierarchy. All children's games. All children's games. This is how people control other people. With hierarchies. Logic and reason. What would you like to know? What would you like to know? What would you like to know?
What I like? I'm happy.
Yeah. But what would you like to know?
What I like to know? I know that I need much power for my son. I need power.
You need power for your son.
For my son.
Yeah. Why?
He's very always from alcoholism and he's not
He's
very well.
ill from alcohol.
I think he will
Yeah.
go.
Mm-hmm. How old is he?
He's 39.
39?
Yeah, but he looks like 25. He's like a young boy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he will not live.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard.
Where does he live?
Here in Salzburg in my house.
In your house with you. Yeah, it's very difficult.
He lost his father a year ago.
Yeah.
Husband. And he always, I think he cannot forget that. It's going father.
Uh-huh. When did he start drinking? When did he start to drink alcohol? Long time. Long time. Yeah. So it's not necessarily his father. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But in the moment it's very hard. It's
Yeah.
very strong.
Yeah. Not so nice.
And he cannot sleep and he makes music in the night and games and wake me and I cannot sleep. In the morning when I must stand up, I have 3 daughters. my house, my work in the house, and I'm always
Why do you have him in your house?
Hmm?
Why do you have him in your house?
Oh, no, I have in the moment I have not house. The house I verkauft.
So you're giving him house?
Ja, weil eines Tages vor der Tür stand.
One day he was in front of
And
the
he
door.
couldn't, he had a depression.
Yeah, depression.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And he says he cannot live alone, he kill him.
Mm-hmm.
He will kill him. He will not live. And then I say, yes, you can stay in my house, but that's not good.
No, it's not good.
For him, it's not good.
It's not good.
Yeah, I know.
It's not good.
I know.
It's not good for him. It's not good for you. It's not good.
What must I do? What can I do?
I would have him leave the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would have him leave the house.
Yeah.
But put your son aside. What would you like to know? Just for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
What can I do?
No, put your...
For me.
For you. Yeah. Yeah. There's something you would like to know. What is it? Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, and this nature.
Mhm.
And I like to have eine Aufgabe. Das ist
Mhm.
to do for not only for me,
Mhm.
for the
Okay.
world,
Yeah.
people, for
That's something
animals.
that's something that you want. What would you like to know?
Oh, yes, God. It's an inside place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, God.
You've always wanted to know.
I think it's inside, but
You've always wanted to know. For a very long time. You've always wanted to know.
ich weiß nicht, für lange Zeit. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wo ich komme. Und wer kann.
Yeah. Where is God? Huh. Where is God? Tonight, huh? Huh. Tonight? No, he's not in the church. Yeah, 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 yeah. And it's not a he. It's not a she. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, where is God? and very oddly and very strangely. In each country I would speak differently. And to those below the age of 7 I would speak differently, and to those below the age of 2 I would speak differently. And those above 55 I would speak differently, and those above 90 I would speak differently. And those in the 16th century I would speak differently, and those in the 27th century I would speak differently. And those in the 21st century I would speak differently. And at night I would speak differently of it, and at day I would speak differently. If it was during war, I would speak differently of it. If it was during peace, I would speak differently. If you lived in a cave, I would speak differently of it. If we were all hungry, I would speak differently. If we're all surfing the waves of an ocean, I would speak differently. If we're all parachuting, I would speak differently. If we're building a skyscraper, I would speak differently. If we're dancing on a floor dance, I would speak differently. If we are dreaming, I would speak differently. If we are crying, I would speak differently. If you had lost hope, I would speak differently. If you're full of hope, I would speak differently. If you're an atheist, I would speak differently. Where is God? No further than your bones, no further than your sight, no further than what you see, no further than what you touch. No matter how far you can throw your voice, no matter how much you whisper, no matter your profound silence is, no matter how loud you sing. No matter how fast your hair grows, no matter how many knots you have tied yourself into, no further than your bones, no further than your sight, no further than your silence, no further than your voice. Closer than your ears, closer than your eyelash, more snug than your shoes, a perfect fit like your socks. The shadows of the light as they dance in and out. And yet it is the shadows of grays and blacks. It is the colors and even the shadows of all colors. No further than your bones, closer than your ears. At the tip of your nose, there it is. Is that an echo I hear? Is it, I ask? What is it? for just a phone call. And yet is my son, and yet is my friends, and yet God is my enemies, and God is the fish. And yet on nature I know your face, you cannot hide from me. You too. You too. You see, there's really nowhere to go. You can hop and skip from planet to planet. You can hop and skip from dream to dream. You can hop and skip from thought to thought. There's nowhere to go. For all lives in the grace of all. So what to do? What to do? Closer than your bones. Closer than your years. On the tip of your nose. In your socks. Around your neck. Underneath each hair, behind your lips, behind your eyes, you have more patience than me. Remember these very simple words. Remember. I had to give up my life to get him. $11:30. For any human being to find themselves, whether you are in the middle of the city of Salzburg, New York City, Los Angeles, Berlin, München, Zurich, Glasgow, Moscow, Beijing, Bangladesh, because there's so many people, and the more people there are, the more it really confuses other people in this world. It is really a very good thing that we only have 7 C's, for we only have 10 fingers to count with, really. But we only have 10 fingers, but we have over 5.4 billion people. That's a lot of fingers to count. And human beings are basically not raised and set up to count so much. For there's too much during the day that we want to do. Too many really wonderful magazines and newspapers and books to read. There's too many phone calls that we have to make and want to do. There are sometimes dishes that need to be washed, and sometimes we just need to sit down and just sit down. We can't always pick up each finger and start to count off all the people that exist in this world. And that means even though there are 5.3 billion people, you really have to multiply that times 2. For most people have 2 eyes to see with. And everybody sees very differently with each eye. And basically everybody is very dominant only in one eye. For basically whenever we see another human face, it is either the left brain or the right brain that we are analyzing with our logic, with our criticisms, with our doubt, with our joy, with our clarity, trying to figure out that other person as quickly as possible, actually in a matter of seconds, so we can get on to the next phase. And because we do this so quickly, we have very good reason, because there are over 5.3 billion people in the world today to analyze. And little kids are so overwhelmed in this world so very quickly. For here a little child only has either a brother and sister to be raised in their first environment. And they only have a few faces to analyze. And it takes years to analyze those very few faces. And that most children only have 10 fingers too. And to count and to know what the 1 digit of the first index finger really means, 1, it takes quite a few years. But exponentially, they figure out what 2 means, 2 brothers, 2 sisters. And in time, it is the parents, and pretty soon you have 3 or 4 fingers already figured out. And that is a very big world for that very tender little brain and that little child. For somehow it seems like this is as far as the learning is going to go. How can it go any more? How can there be much more? How can the world really be any bigger? For the biggest perspective is really to see and understand the mother and the father. And for too many young kids, there's no father today. There's only the mother. And in some families, it is only the father and no mother. And yet, still 3 or 4 fingers is a lot. But yet somehow that child knows that there are at least 6 or 7 more fingers to go. That means there's a big world out there to learn. And in time, after so many years, they meet a friend, and that is another finger, another face to learn, to see, to analyze, to grasp, to play with, to figure out. And in time, they meet another friend, and there's another finger down, another number, another digit. And how the world is so big, but it still lies within the realm of 10 fingers. And yet in time, another finger will be understood and mastered. And it won't be long, and you don't have to wait 10 years to do that. For most, by the age of 3 or 4, all 10 fingers are mastered. The world has been mastered. It's not before long that the child will end up going to the first school, And in so many schools, there are over 30 or 40, sometimes 60 students. There aren't enough fingers in our hands to count. And pretty soon that little tiny brain starts to get overwhelmed, figuring out what to do. My secure world, my self-esteem has somehow been uprooted. The rug has been pulled underneath my feet, and I am overwhelmed. And this is what happens to all of us, all young kids. Not knowing what to do, for we are not an octopus with a multitude of tentacles. And yet somehow they teach us to count, not just sticks, but to draw lines, somehow to add and to multiply, somehow to be very clever with numbers. So somehow we can understand, even though there are 60 faces, it is really just 60, just a number, that's all it is. And in time we realize that all these 60 faces, they all have their own unique name and their own unique life. And somehow underneath, that child can sense that all children, including themselves, are overwhelmed. It's a very, very big world, much bigger than the child had ever anticipated. And in a given amount of time, once that child even goes to a much bigger school, and the numbers have exponentially increased, more teachers, and all along the way, meeting all the citizens that live in that community, how can that child keep up with the counting of the fingers? For the child, and all children, actually, they stay numb. They stay very quiet with this very, very profound thinking of all the numbers and all the faces out there. And that little tiny, very fragile brain is overwhelmed, as all children are. And the adults, too, are overwhelmed, too. Most live under fear. Most are trying to figure out life. There are many that have a great deal of security and a great deal of knowledge, but they're still overwhelmed, that little one that lives inside. For how can one really understand 5.3 billion people? For none of us have the time to even count that high. And yet everybody counts. And yet every life matters. And yet every life is important. And yet every life thinks and feels, gets hurt, wants security, needs food, needs shelter, too, just like you. And because there are so many, that means there are that many perspectives in the world. And in each brain, the philosophies of each person starts to multiply. Not just one philosophy of how to think, whether you are Catholic or Buddhist or Jewish or Protestant, or whether you're Muslim. All of a sudden we start to run into conflicts of walls that all of a sudden that has created so many wars and has killed so many people. And somehow everybody, because they are so overwhelmed and don't have a hard time admitting it, wherever that person lives, under what flag, they have to be right. For the other flags cannot be right, for it is only my flag that I live under, that I was born under, that I've counted all my 10 fingers has to be right. And so say the Turkish, so say the Muslims, so say the Jewish, so say the Palestinians, so say the Indians, so say the Americans, so say the Mexicans, so say the Bolivians, so say the Chinese, so say the Africans. They have to be right. And yet, basically, in reality, all they are is just cloth and an idea. That's all it is. It's just an idea. Made up by somebody, made up by a few people. And because there are so many numbers to count, and those are your only references, the only references that little child has been given to, what other references are you going to have? What other beliefs are you going to believe if that's all that has been given to you since you were a child. And that is the predicament of a human being. For life is most definitely a paradox. And to understand all these paradoxes of life, not just of the old and the young, and not just of birth and death, and not just of the inhale and exhale, but the paradoxes of life that have literally been so complex, it has numbed out too many human beings in this world. And basically, a human being, because of the nervous system and because of how they have learned to live and cope with nature, a human being is still very, very simple, which is a beautiful thing. Just to want to have comfort, want to have some entertainment, just want to pay the bills, take care of the children, want some free time to themselves, want to keep that stomach as full as possible, and just want to be safe and secure. Want to be warm in the winter, want to be cool in the summer. Want clean water. I want farmers to grow very good and healthy food. These very simple things that all human beings basically want. It's really what keeps all societies going with simplicity. But when the politics start to come into view and the flag becomes the god of the people, then all of a sudden, counting all the fingers starts to confuse a nation, and that nation can easily go to war, and pretty soon they are better than others. And then we start to have problems. This world is a very, very small world. It has always been, and yet at the same time, it is a very, very large world. There's very little land to live in this world, actually. So little land to live. For most of the land consists of water and seas and oceans and rivers and springs. And yet we only have really the 7 seas. And it's a good thing we have more than 7 fingers to count. And it's really a beautiful thing that we only usually have sometimes 5 or 6 children of brothers and sisters. And sometimes some of us even have 3 or 4 fathers, and sometimes some of us even have 3 or 4 mothers too. And yet most families live in the realm of 10 fingers. And that keeps everything very simple, and it simplifies life. But when a human being goes walking into any large community where there are a multitude of people, faces that you have never seen, coming from all over the world, tourists you could say, neighbors that you have never seen, what is that little brain of yours going to do with the countless hundreds of millions of people? And yet everyone wants and everyone thinks. Everyone has their way and everyone has their own common sense. What are you going to do with it all? No wonder we find ourselves so confused. And the world is still suffering from World War II, from all the after effects. The ripples of all that war is still rummaging throughout this planet. But yet it's a good thing that this new generation today, they're not afflicted like the generations after the post-war. But they're not, like you could say, stifled by World War II as much. And yet hatred can be passed on from one generation to the next. Just teach your children to hate or to dislike another nation. It's easy to do. Like we have all noticed in Bosnia and Yugoslavia, Muslims and Christians living side by side for hundreds of years, and yet they passed on the hatred to their children. And sure enough, it showed itself in time. And yet all it is 100 years, 1 finger, And yet all it is 700 years, 7 fingers. Keeping things quite simple. And yet there is another paradox in life. Somehow we can live together and yet hate each other so quietly inside our own little heads. To be a student of life, one has to transcend your own flag. One has to transcend your own land, your own continent. One has to figure out really what is a human being, and not just an Austrian or a German, and not just an American Indian. One has to literally transcend what it is to be a real human being. For all we are, just a species. That's all we are, just a species. Some of us are proud and some of us are not. And some of us may think we are on top of the food chain, but we are not. And yet, very quietly, the little one inside, the little tiny one with the very tender little brain that is ready to be etched from the moment of birth, to be etched by light, to be educated by light, to be taught by light. For it is light that literally teaches the brain, not a face, not a person. It is the light reflected off the faces, reflected off the noses, reflected off the lips and the shoulders and all the clothes. And somehow this light, which is nothing but information, slowly goes into your iris, slowly headed back to the back of your brain, and somehow the drums begin. And when the drums begin, a little rhythm of drumming, somehow it all makes sense from the very beginning. Light of your light inside the little one inside. And when that external light is finally merging with that internal light inside the head, then the drumming begins of one life. To find oneself on a planet, a third planet from the sun, that is traveling 486,000 miles an hour through space, that somehow is really not too old, that is still very young. And yet one day, like the dinosaurs, after living hundreds of millions of years, the human beings also too will have to move, put themselves away, for another species will come into view. And they too will consider themselves the top of the food chain. And yet one wonders really, what is the spirit in all of this? The traveler inside, the one that lives either during or after, one that lives in the dreams or after. One wonders. For you see, you come here for all kinds of reasons. For everybody has their own agenda why to come listen. Either to seek something or to find something or to understand something. But you still only have 10 fingers. You have not grown another finger. For to find the secrets of life, for to find really what joy is and what understanding is, what is really true happiness. To find out the real meaning of peace, you have to go all the way back to your 10 fingers. For that is what you were born with, and that is what you will pass away with. No more fingers than 10. And as it is with your 2 eyes and your 10 toes, you will not grow another head unless you are schizophrenic and you have a multitude of personalities. But yet it's still one head. And yet it is us, because there are so many people in this world. And there's very little time to understand the so many faces, so many brains, so many perspectives. How easy it is to shut down and somehow enclose our life in a closet, in a room, and somehow become more narrow-minded, more closed-minded. For the world is scary, but it's a good thing that there are many tourist places to go that are somewhat safe still in this world. And yet it is us that is really the scary part. It is really us that really carries the fear of our own self. The voyage of the human being is very much like the planet traveling through space, forever moving, forever under a constant speed. And yet, like in a car passing someone else in a highway, somehow getting a very small glance of who is driving that car, going in the opposite direction. That is very much like what our spirits are all about. Passing so quickly, not only through space, but walking down a street, walking through a park, walking to our office, walking to our kitchen. Our hearts are beating thumping very fast like a drum. Continuous light coming into our eyes. And yet somehow the paradox of life starts to show its face once again. For most human beings think that they have seen all that there is to see. They have labeled everything. They have intellectualized everything. They think they have understood everything. So now they can quit school. They don't have to learn anymore. Their intellectualisms and their cleverness is complete. They have counted all 10 fingers. And because the little ones are so overwhelmed, another factor in the paradox of life, but a very necessary factor, is that humans have a unique ability to adapt, to learn to cope either with the Antarctic or the Sahara, the valleys or the mountains. And no matter what latitude or longitude that you live in, human beings can cope. And even if that brain is overwhelmed, you can also cope. And somehow everybody tries to make sense of their life as quickly as possible so one can be at peace with yourself. And if the coping mechanisms do not work too well, and if somehow you've given up on counting your fingers, they don't work so well, how easy confusion can set in. How easy. And one wonders really the difference between having awareness versus consciousness. For most people, equate the two as the same, and yet they are not. For awareness is what comes with, you could say, the package. It comes with the 10 fingers. But consciousness is a very unusual commodity in life. Consciousness is really what is difficult to reach and to understand and to have. Be a good student of life and be wise with your life. Think of all the people, the 5.3 billion people in this world. Think of all those faces. Don't neglect them. For if you wish to understand what is the spirit and what is consciousness, you have to think of all that lives in the land, for they all are traveling on this planet just like you. They have the same wants and desires very much like you. We are just separated by mentalities, and that's all. But even though you don't have the fingers, think of them. For you see, we all exchange the same air. The earth, the oxygen, the atmosphere, it's not Austrian. It isn't. And it's not even German. And it's not even American. It isn't. And it's not even Vietnamese. For human beings are always exchanging oxygens. You could say we're always relating to each other. And somehow the weather is really quite the same. And sometimes some people have monsoons. And some people have tornadoes. And yet, it is still the same planet traveling through space. You may call it the land of China, you may call it the land of Switzerland, but I speak to you and I tell you it is really the same earth. Call it what you wish. For this is what we have done in our own heads, in our own brains, in our own minds. We have segregated ourselves according to lines and flags. And if you do that externally, you also do it to yourself inside your own head, inside your own brain. And pretty soon you have built your own Berlin walls. And pretty soon the narrow-mindedness becomes your God. And then where are you? For to open up, for to count all 10 fingers is really quite easy. Even though it took a number of years for you to master 10 fingers, it really took that many years. But for you to really understand the Spirit does not come from Mongolia, does not come from Nigeria, does not come from South America or even Central America. For the Spirit, basically, you could say it's all one. The same breath, the same sun, and the same heart. It is really the same dream. We can dissect ourselves as much as we want. And we have the capacity, because we have been given a free will, to build as many walls as we wish, even as high as we wish, or even as thick as we wish. It's up to you. We can encase ourselves in a cave and stay in there for as long as you wish. We can even put ourselves to sleep for tens and thousands of years if you wish. What do you want? You see, the problem really is really quite simple. For some odd reason, I do not know why. I have no idea why. But somehow, each sentient being has been given a very unusual, you could say, force. And that force is called a free will. The free will is actually somewhat of a creator. It's a dreamer and a creator that eventually starts to produce results, such as learning to count fingers. Pretty soon, 2 plus 2. I'm smart, it's 4. I'm really smart, it's 4. Or somehow we're riding a circus ride, thinking that you understand only with the awareness of your own mind. It is very easy for any human being to live out their life. All you have to do is get up in the morning and look how many mornings you have gotten up and look how fast you have reached your age. Very fast. You hardly did anything to even reach this particular age. You just did it. But between now and the time when you do leave and pass away and leave this earth, it's going to go by twice as fast. For the older you get, the faster time seems to multiply itself very quickly. And pretty soon we stop to forget. We stop the counting of the days, the nights, and the full moons. But be wise with your life. Do not stop counting. Remember your fingers. How long did it take for you to reach the age of 7? It took you 7 long years. But somehow the illusion of time, those 7 long years, somehow went by so quickly. What happened? And you sitting in this chair, whether you are 36 or 48, whether you're 61 or 19, it went by just as fast. Be wise with your life. Every day counts. Every full moon counts. Every birthday candle counts. Be wise with your life and bring more and more respect into every day, into every full moon, into every year of your life. And go back to school and learn how to count all over again when it was exciting to count with your fingers. And you will see that to have one finger, it's very important. Just to have one life, it's very, very important. Don't make your life cheap, for your finger is not cheap. Don't make your birthday cheap, for your finger is not cheap. And once one respects each finger and each toe, more and more, not to cut it off, you begin to respect and look at the other hands, the other fingers of other people. For too many human beings have desensitized. There are too many faces to analyze. Be wise with your life. If you want to see and understand human, do not be blind. Do not look in the faces. You will not see. For we too easily criticize. We too easily judge immediately when we see a face. But your brains are not desensitized by looking at people's hands. Pay attention to the hands of this earth. And pay attention and look at the history of the hands. Pay attention and watch and look at the lines and how they move. For all the stories are really written in the hands with no judgments, no criticisms. For that is what will get you to touch your heart far easier than looking at people's faces. For we all know how critical we are. For we all know how easily we can misjudge. But turn your eyes into people's hands, and you'll find that your brain and your mind and your heart can easily read with such less criticism. For a student of life has to be very wise with yourself. It is much easier, a lot easier to look at another person and to figure that person out than it is your own self. For somehow it's a real strange phenomenon, difficult to see our own self. But by looking at the hands of human beings, it is a ticket in. It is a door in. And it is the most beautiful door into your heart. Lots of hands, lots of hands. Peace to your minds. Peace to your hearts. Peace to your life. I wonder where we come from. Do we speak from our mind? Do we speak from our hearts? Do we speak and really come from our life? Where do we come from? And where do my words come from? And where do my dreams come from? Where are they born from? Are they born from logic? Are they born from reason? Are they born from jealousy or enviness? Where do my dreams come from? Are they born from joy? Are they born from hope? Where do all these bubbles come from? It is your life, it is your will, it is your breath. No one can eat for you, no one can dream for you, no one can walk for you. No one can even speak for you. No one can hear for you but you. It is you who put your feet into your shoes this morning. It was you, not your neighbor, not your brother, not your enemy. It was you. And it was you who decided to turn that knob of that door and open it. It was you. It was you. The free will. Where do we come from? Are we just a biological bag of DNA and very complex proteins comprised of skin and bone? And what happens when we take the bones out what are we? Nothing but worms inside wiggling on the ground. But it's a good thing we have bones that keep us erect. And what a beautiful, unusual thing that somehow the brains have found themselves to place themselves on the very top of us, as high as they can be. And somehow to have two hands, a logical brain and a musical brain, to have a left perspective and a right perspective. In essence, so we can either say no or yes. So we can either decide to dance or to sit down. Either we can decide to listen or not to listen. It's up to us. Either to be distracted or not. It's up to us. It's up to us. Do not let your life get caught up in this mass consciousness, whether it be of your nation or of a continent. Think for yourself. Be totally independent and fight this mass consciousness that so many people are easily swayed like a mob, all to think the same. Do not think like that. Your country cannot die for you at all. You have to die all by yourself. And where you go, it's up to you. It's not up to your country. It's up to you. But if you have no complete independence inside, as you pass away, you will have no map where to go, no thinking how to go, in what direction. For the human spirit is very much like a sailboat. And everybody is their own sailor. And the winds that guide your boat, the guide that push your sailboat, are the winds of your thoughts, the winds of your hope, the winds of your action. Those are the winds that will guide you. If there are winds of fear, so be it. If there are winds of complacency, so be it. If there are winds of adventure, so be it. If there are winds of love and kindness, so be it. It's up to you. Your sailboat. Be a better sailor than you are. Just don't stop learning. To learn to sail each day, it counts and it does matter. Or if you learn nothing today, it's going to be very difficult for you to learn anything tomorrow. Or if you learn something today, it's going to be a lot easier for you to learn something tomorrow. It's the way we are. Your brain loves to grow. For the roots of your brain are very much like the roots of a tree, seeking nourishment, not just of water and minerals. For our brain, it seeks adventure, it seeks the unknown. It seeks what we have not seeked, not yet understood. Do not be satisfied with how you have labeled everything in this world or put everything in a certain box. Throw all the boxes away and relearn everything. See life anew. Kita jene kate haneo sona Hai nete ha Hai nete ha Nete peace to your minds, peace to your hearts, peace to your life. Open up your eyes. For the new people, I'm going to ask that, because most of the people here, they know about the fire dance. They know how to be with it. So you old people, even though you're young, you're old people, I want you to pick someone who's new and be with them and educate them, talk to them. Stay with them throughout the dance and guide them. Okay? So there's less confusion what to do about the fire dance. I'm going to ask that, can I have some water, please? For those of you who have never seen the fire dance, some of you you may get scared. You may have a lot of fear. It's understandable. If this happens to you, there's nothing to fear. Hey, it's just a fear of your own self. That's all it is. So please have the courage and stay and try to keep your mind quiet, but most of all, keep your comments quiet. You didn't pay money. You didn't come here to comment, did you? Did you come in here to make comments? Did you? If you did, then you have to pay twice. Right? I'm serious. You got to pay twice. Okay? Then you can pay. Then you can do your comments. But if you didn't, please refrain and hold back your comments. You cannot know what this fire dance is all about. Not in one dance, not in 10 dances, and not in 20 dances. You can't. You know, when it comes to a courtroom and being a witness of an accident, most of us know that you have 10 witnesses and you're going to get 10 variations of what happened in the accident. 10 different perspectives. Who is right? Of course, you. Right? You're the one that's right. You're the one that really saw what happened. And I'm proud of you. To be a student of life, you have to understand what the human predicament is and how the mind operates. You have to learn to be a good listener and a good witness first. And a good witness, it takes years to develop what it is to be a good witness of life. And that means it starts to neutralize the pluses and the minuses, the comments and all your things on the other side. And once all this starts to neutralize and your brain doesn't have the acid or the alkaline inside, you don't have your ups and your downs, the witness just watches, observes. And here's a good case in point. A good student of life, if I had it my way, I would take all of you for about 7 years. Each one of you, I would take you into the jungles, and I would teach you how to be a good anthropologist, to go study the gorillas, to be a witness. But you know what people do? They go out and they go study the gorillas with no schooling, and that's how most people are. I want to understand the spirit. I want to understand what it is to open up and to expand. And I said, okay, great. Okay, here's your assignment. Go study the gorillas. You get out there, go study the gorillas. After a couple days, you get angry at the gorilla for hitting this other one. Or all of a sudden, you want to start to protest because this one gorilla did something wrong with the other. Well, this is what we do with people and ourselves. Terrible anthropologist. A real failure of being an anthropologist. Huh? Huh? Okay? Okay? Very simple. Very, very simple. It takes years to be a good anthropologist, okay? Not a weekend and not a day. Huh? So just watch. It is in the witness, accumulating the light. Light is nothing but information, people. It is you who twist the light inside your head. It is you who put bathroom glass inside. So when the light comes in, it gets all twisted inside, and pretty soon you see something else. You're one of the 10 witnesses viewing the accident differently. To get the glass clear, to remove the veils, you got to understand to be a good, clear, quiet witness. And let time educate you. Let time tell you, and not your inappropriate pride and not your arrogance. Time will teach you. Time is the best teacher. Time. If you find that you have too much fear to be brought into the fire dance, it's okay. You cannot do anything wrong in the dance. There's no hocus pocus, there's no black magic, there's no voodoo. Maybe a little voodoo. I take that back, I lied. Okay, there's voodoo and some black magic. And, it's black, huh? Yeah, oh yeah, he wears black voodoo. Okay, comment. Watch, witness, and let time be your teacher. And when you are instructing the new person, and be sure to instruct them for the new people. It's not a typical dance. It's not at all. And if you want to sit down and observe and to watch, do not look at the other people. When you paid your money to come in here, did you pay your money to look at everybody? To see who's here, who's going to see me here, how important am I, Did you? No. Who'd you pay your money to look at? Then don't waste your money and get your money's worth. Your money is important. Your money is valuable. You work hard for your money. Don't be dumb. Do not be dumb. You hold the focus. This is a very serious dance. I'm not here to entertain you at all. If you think that you paid your money to come to be entertained, you get your money and walk out of here. You hold that focus. I have a job to do. Your job is just to be a witness, to sit and watch, or to dance. And if you want to dance, then I will do my job, and my job is to do what I do in the dance, and you will see in time. But I'm not here to entertain you at all. Let's pick up the chairs and move them to the side, please.